Welcome to Pokemon Masters Council. I'm your host, Gym Leader Justin. I'm joined by my co-host, Zero. Say what's up, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Ready to talk about a shroom?
Yeah, dude. Amoongus, the Teemo. For all those Teemo fans out there, laughing maniacally. Amoongus.
The one Teemo fan out there.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of us. So, Amoongus, very, 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 very high tier competitive Pokemon here. Not just because he's a grass type. Obviously, they're all great. No bias at all from me. But Amoongus, he's consistently one of the best tanks in the game.
Yeah. And that goes for singles and doubles.
We want to give a special shout out right now to everyone that's been subscribing on this journey to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Smash that big red button if you are subscribed. Ring the bell to make sure you stay notified for all of our new How to Use guides going into Series 2 here on the channel. Give that video a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. Let's get underway. Let's talk about the Teamster.
All right, let's talk about the Teamster. So, Justin, there's a lot of things that make Teemo good, right? There's a pretty good typing. There's a pretty good ability and some pretty good moves. Where should we start?
Yeah, dude. So obviously, grass type is a very good, not only offensive but defensive typing in 9th gen so far. As we've talked about on the channel, all of the starter typings are popping off right now with Terra typing going on. They're all really solid options offensively and defensively, depending on the set. Poison is also a very, very strong defensive typing right now this meta.
Especially with fighting moves and fairy moves flying around. Especially we're gonna have,
yes.
Flutter main usage is really high right now, so you'll be resisting those dazzling gleams.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And then Iron Hands, you can resist those drain punches.
Yeah, dude, it comes in really, really handy. Regenerator is actually very, very handy because he's tanky, can switch in, soak up that, be a damage sponge, and then get a free heal just by switching back out. He's also part poison, which means we can run things like Black Sludge, which we will get into. But yeah, dude, we want to talk about the stats on this little mushroom. So he's super tiny, first of all, which I love. But he's got big stats. Yeah,
so the big stat you're going to see first, obviously, the 114 HP. That's a really high HP number.
Very, very, very good HP. That's kind of why he's so good as a Pokemon at all competitively, is because he's so tanky. And that's because of his HP stat.
Yeah, then we got 85 attack. That's not really much of a factor. However, it's nice if you're going to be running something like Foul Play, which we'll talk about. And then defense, 70. Not amazing on paper. When you pair it with that 114 HP, it's pretty good. 85 special attack. Again, offense is not what we're here for. And then special defense of 80. A little bit better than that defense. Hope you run a specially defensive set. And then this is actually an interesting number here. A speed of 30.
Yeah, dude.
And a speed of 30 this is actually a really crowded speed tier. And it's really important that it's at 30 for Trick Room teams, because a lot of prevalent Trick Room Pokemon run that 30 speed.
Exactly. Really, really nice wrap up. So obviously with Regenerator, you switch out, you can heal. We talked about that. Effect Spore, you're not really going to see. That's not what we're here for, because the move set covers what you would want for Effect Spore. So you heard it here on the PMC. Our advice, never run Effect Spore.
Never, ever, never, not once in your life, ever run Effect Spore.
This Amoongus, what does this shroom do competitively? We talked about how tanky it is. Let's talk about the sets, okay? There's a couple of sets I want to show you. I got 2 slides in this video. It's a little bit of a shorter one because he is a little bit of a one-trick pony, but he does those jobs really, really well, right? And you just kind of, you know what I mean? It's that you build him tanky, and then there's just a couple of moves you choose. You know what I mean? There's 6 or 7 moves you choose from. VGC, obviously, Rage Powder is all the rage. But the Rage Powder is really, really good for redirection outside of grass types and or grass terras. that also does not affect Safety Goggles. So Safety Goggles is the best way to counter Amoongus. That item will make you immune to all powder moves. It means you won't get redirected by Rage Powder, and you can't be put to sleep by Spore. So very, 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 very strong. Foul Play is a great move. Giga Drain's a great move. Clear Smog's a great move. Protect. We already know all this, but we're going to get into that in just a sec. Let's talk about the Black Sludge here, Zero.
Yeah, so Black Sludge is a great item that can be held by poison Pokemon. And it's really nice because using Black Sludge frees up a spot for a partner Pokemon to run leftovers. So you can run 2 recovery items. So Black Sludge, obviously, you recover a little bit of HP after every turn if you are a poison Pokemon. And it's the same as leftovers. So you can use this Pokemon. The beauty about this Pokemon is you can use it and not sacrifice any defense anywhere else, because this Pokemon fits really well into any bulky team to kind of complement other things like Garganical. And,
yeah, that's a really good shout.
Garganicle's weak to water. You get the Amoongus who resists water for the switch in, and then Garganical, Amoongus is weak to flying. Garganical resists flying. So
one of my favorite pairings is the defensive Rotom Wash.
Great.
Then you could give him the leftovers. Obviously, you can run other things on Amoongus. We want a special shout out to a couple of the type resistant berries. Flying and ice come to mind. I don't hate the idea of running citrus. I've done that before, but usually my go-to is Black Sludge because, like you said, it's just a second leftovers, which is also really great because obviously in VGC you can only run one of each item, the item clause. So Black Sludge is probably going to be usually my go-to. Max HP on every set. You're never going to leave home without it. And I usually actually go in and I make it a 0 speed IV also to make sure it's so slow as possible. Like Zero mentioned, in case, even if you're not running Trick Room, in case your opponent's bringing the Trick Room, you're then as slow, which then in Trick Room is as fast as, an Amoongus can be. Right. I really like giving you a little bit more physical defense than the special defense just because of the base stats. But again, results might vary. You season to taste kind of with your defensive stats coverage, whether you want to add in there and get a little bit more techie once you get a little bit more advanced. But for beginners, you can just throw some into defense and special defense and you're good to go. Terra types, Zero.
So this is a big one, Justin. We've got Fire on here, which is a pretty good type. Helps you, would end up resisting things like fire and ice. But there was another type I wanted to talk about as well. Sorry, let me redo that. So there was another type I wanted to talk to. Jesus Christ. All right. So there was another type I wanted to talk about as well, and that's Terra Dark, Justin. And I like Terra Dark because when it comes to Terra Dark, that stops you from being taunted by a prankster taunt Pokemon, and things like Sableye, Grimmsnarl, those things that carry taunt that stop defensive passive Pokemon like Amoongus. So this way you can still get your spores and your rage powders off without that fear of being taunted, and you're also completely immune to Psychic, which that is a prevalent type with Armor Rouge running around.
Yeah, Armor Rouge indeed is still in the top 20 on usage, so it's a very, very good shout. Another respectable one can obviously be Terra Water, which comes in really, really handy as well. That makes it so now you're not now you're still taking neutral, not super effective damage from ground. Just another special shout out there. So there's a couple of options defensively. Let's talk about these moves. So obviously besides Spore, 100% accuracy, point click, sleep. Rage Powder's great for redirection. That's, hey, hit the tanky mushroom, don't hit Caesar while he clicks Swords Dance and sets up to destroy the world. We've featured that on the channel actually. But also, things like Foul Play, which calculates the damage based on your target's current attack. So that's very, very strong. Giga Drain's just a great move. Stab, heal, really good against things like Gastrodon. Clear Smog is amazing because it does really well against Dondozo. But a decent amount of Dondozos lately have been running Terra Steel. So Haze is probably my preferred go-to to take that out, but I digress. We'll get into that in a future video when we talk about how to use Vaporeon. But Protect is also an incredibly valuable tool in VGC. Very, very powerful to if somebody is predicting the Spore or something like that, you can protect turn 1 against fake outs and stuff. So that's pretty great. I also want to give a special shout out. Any one of these sets, even if you're running tanky, you could also still run a Focus Sash to make sure you don't just get obliterated turn 1 from some huge giant bomb that you weren't expecting. We've seen that before, but basically this is sort of this is like the PMC standard, right? Like this is the Amoongus. This is Teemo.
Right. And yeah, before we move on to the next slide and talk about this Pokemon in singles, I do want to mention that what you got Protect on here. Protect is always one of those things on a tanky Pokemon where if you have the luxury of putting it on, do it, because another turn of having your tank alive, and like if you are able to be so annoying with your defensive Pokemon like Amoongus or Arcanine or Incineroar, he's not in the game. If you can afford to put Protect on that Pokemon and take turns away from your opponents when they're targeting your tank.
Yep.
It is so valuable. It can't always work. You don't always see Protect on Incineroar or this Pokemon, but it is so powerful if you can flex it into your set.
Yeah, if you were to take this set, obviously no Rage Powder in singles because there's no redirection. You'd still have Spore. What would be your singles? You'd probably still have some of these moves, but just rearrange them, right? So what would your singles move set be?
So for singles, I would run Spore, Giga Drain, Clear Smog, and then the next one's kind of up to you. But Synthesis is always a really, really great option. Otherwise, you can run Foul Play with Terra Dark.
Yeah, really, really nice shout. So the next set, as usual, when we see a big tanky Pokemon, I'm going to show you an Assault Vest set 0. It's a little bit special, but this is actually, I think, is pretty good in this meta. This one, Terra Fire, is both defensive and offensive because you can run Terra Blast.
Yeah.
And this is like a Trick Room tank bruiser, like an offensive Trick Room set, basically.
Yeah, it looks kind of fun. It's like a poor man's Brute Bonnet.
Basically, like this is going to be really, really strong in a Trick Room. Terra Fire goes really well with, the standard right now with it, which is like Indeedee, Armor Rouge, stuff like that. This is another, like, you could obviously do redirection, but if people are predicting that, this is a way to like throw them off. You could be really, really, really bulky with that max HP and an Assault Vest. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of special attack, but this is just showing off. Again, you don't have to run Assault Vest here. One of these moves could be Protect easily, and instead of Assault Vest, this could be Black Sludge or Citrus Berry or any of the things we've talked about before. It doesn't have to be AV, but I just wanted to show off. I have actually run this and it's pretty fun. But Zero, the one thing here that's worth mentioning before we get into the Pikalytic stats, talk about that Pollen Puff, because we've also seen this in VGC sets as well. I don't really run it that much in VGC. I think it's a little bit more situational because I like Clear Smog so much better because of the stat clearing. But I definitely have seen Pollen Puff. We have seen Pollen Puff do well at tournaments recently. So tell me about this.
Yeah, so Pollen Puff is a great move that when you target your ally, it'll heal them. And when you target your opponent, it will damage them. So the reason that Pollen Puff is so good right now is because, especially in Series 1, Series 1 was a very bulky, tanky kind of defensive meta. There was not a lot of like breakers. Even like your offensive Pokemon were actually kind of fat, like, Dragonite and things like that. And like Baxcalibur and Tauros with Intimidate. So like it was a very bulky meta. So using Pollen Puff to regain some of the HP on, your bulky Pokemon was very, very valuable. It's still going to be valuable in Series 2. The breakers in Series 2 are a little bit better than in Series 1. I think offensively, the clock, the dial has been turned up a little bit. So having Pollen Puff could be valuable to get some HP back on a Pokemon to take them out of a 2-hit KO range.
Well said, buddy. So, as per usual, after we show off a couple of our sets here, we're going to go over to Pikalytics and show off the stats. So, when we have Series 1, Amoongus was kind of everywhere. We saw a lot of it. We featured a lot of them on the channel. Links will be in the description to some of those battle videos where we actually featured them on our homemade custom teams, as well as some of our tournament reviews in previous podcasts where he featured in the winning lists. But in Series 2, the Showdown, like, pre-season meta, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, Season 2 preseason.
Yeah, the Season 2 preseason. Series 2 preseason.
Yeah.
Homeboy's coming in 5th. Teamster's 27% meta in time at the time of this recording. We've got 99% on the Spore, 99 Rage Powder, 82 on that Pollen Puff, Protect, Clear Smog, and then others. So pretty much what we were talking about. You see a lot of teammates with the Iron Hands. Right now in Series 2, they are running a lot of Covert Cloak. That's a very good shout out. It's because there's so many Iron Hands, there's a lot of fake outs, so that just makes it so, yes, you'll get faked out, you'll take the damage, but you'll still be able to move, and then you just spore them and put them to sleep. So Rocky Helmet's also really good. That super tanky set, we've actually run into a couple in practice so far, haven't we?
Yeah, they're really, really annoying because they'll like redirect your physical mons with Rage Powder and force them to hit the Rocky Helmet and take damage. So really powerful tech right there. Run it like physically defensive if you really want. I think physically defensive, mixed defenses seems to be the way to go, but I do see some bold sets with a decent amount of physical defense.
Yeah, that's what I like mixed, but I lean heavier into the physical.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at these stat spreads. Like, this is literally, like, number for number.
Exactly what I said.
The stat spread you had, yeah, so.
Come on, boy. Come on, sometimes your boy knows. So, yeah, obviously, relaxed or sassy, any negative speed nature, and then the 0 for that speed IV, that's the hot tech for me. But, yeah, really, really strong Mon. Very good support Mon. One of the best support/tank Mons in the entire game right now. So no surprise that he is 5th in usage. So very, very happy to see this. Zero, any closing thoughts on the old mushroom today? You use them quite a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna echo the sentiments of Pokesports, Kevin over at Pokesports. In case any of you guys are listeners to them, they call it the Amoongus factor. It's kind of becoming a wide known VGC term.
Yeah.
When we get into a new meta and things are a little scary and unfamiliar, Amoongus usage rises to kind of counteract the fact that things need to be checked. So Amoongus comes out, puts things to sleep, kind of slows down the metagame with things like Rage Powder and Spore. And then when the metagame starts getting a little more familiar, the Amoongus factor kind of dies down, or we start seeing that Amoongus usage go down. However, it never goes away, right?
No, he's one of those like you can lean on him if you're not sure what to put into that like 5th or 6th slot on a team. Amoongus is just a very solid, like reliable pick, and he slots into almost any team perfectly.
Absolutely. Like you see him right now, he's number 5 in usage. He'll, probably slip down to like top 15.
But he'll probably still be in the top 20, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. They would never slip out of the top 20, I don't think.
And that's the point. He's just an S tier. And he's one of the best grass reps we've ever had. He's one of the best grass reps I think I'll ever have. He's named after my favorite character in League of Legends for a reason. I got a big, big, big place in my heart for Teemo. Big place in my heart for Amoongus. Love to rep this guy. Love to see him doing well on the global scene. Can't wait to see more tournament stats and be able to show him off on the channel for everyone watching. All right, Zero, that has been it for the How to Use Amoongus guide. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, everyone. If you stick around to the end of the video, smash that like button, smash that big subscribe button, and as always, if you are subscribed, we want to remind you to hit the bell button to stay notified every time we put a new How to Use guide up for Series 2 in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Without further ado, until next time, I've been your host, Gym Leader Justin.
And I'm Zero.
Council's adjourned.